Welcome back to the Sport by Fort Pod. This is a production that uses real content from articles, research studies, and projects developed by Sport by Fort Consulting, presented by AI hosts. In the 7th episode of Season 2, we explore how sports organizations can maximize commercial growth by developing original, high-value assets rather than simply increasing existing advertising inventory. All 5 examples offer genuine cultural relevance and unique engagement opportunities for both fans and partners. Enjoy the show.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a problem that, it sits right at that intersection of business and passion in sports and entertainment. It's all about unlocking that next level of commercial revenue.
Right, the holy grail.
Exactly. Everyone wants it, but most attempts just fall flat right out of the gate.
They do, and you see the same failure mechanism over and over again. The path of least resistance is always just adding, more inventory.
More inventory.
Louder logos, more rotations on the LED boards, trying to squeeze in another sponsored timeout. They're basically asking the audience to just tolerate more noise.
And that's a recipe for diminishing returns, right?
Absolutely.
Our sources on this are pretty blunt. They call that approach deceptively simple in theory and brutally hard in practice.
Because you're alienating your fans.
You are. So our mission today is to really analyze the strategy that actually works for growth. And that is creating genuinely new assets.
Things fans actually want to consume. Things brands want to be a part of, not just, slap a sticker on. And that's the hard part. It's this rare alignment of 4 key ingredients, a recipe, if you will. You need creativity, first of all. You need perfect cultural timing so it lands right, deep fan insight so it resonates, and of course, sponsor logic so the numbers actually work.
And when those 4 things overlap,
it's transformative. It's not just more revenue. The relevance of the whole property just expands.
That expansion is the key. We've looked at 5 benchmark examples that just nailed this. They didn't just monetize the attention they already had. They actively expanded it. They brought in new media, new partners, new fans.
So where should we start?
Let's start with, I think, the one that uses pure symbolism on a truly global scale.
Then we have to begin with the FIFA World Cup Trophy Tour, the one sponsored by Coca-Cola. It is, you could argue, the masterclass in turning symbolism into a scalable commercial platform.
Just taking that icon, the trophy itself.
They saw the power in the object.
But wait a minute. Isn't just taking the trophy on a tour? Isn't that just adding more inventory, just in a different package? How is that different from a louder logo?
That's a great question because the mechanism is completely different. The logo is passive. The trophy tour is active. It's experiential.
Okay.
So for the fan, it's not a logo on a screen. It's direct access. It's a selfie moment with an icon. For the media in that city, it's visual gold. Instant, powerful imagery.
And for the sponsor, for Coca-Cola, the strategic advantage must be huge. It's so much more than a billboard.
Oh, it's far from it. It's a traveling content engine that runs for years between the tournaments. It delivers B2B hospitality. They can host key retailers. It's high-level government relations.
Government relations.
Think about it. When you bring the World Cup trophy to a developing nation, that's a diplomatic event. It gets you in rooms. It starts conversations that a normal sponsorship never could. You're a global partner, not just a soft drink.
Okay, now this is where the analysis gets really interesting for me. The sheer complexity of it all, the logistics, the security, the customs, the diplomacy, then activating it in dozens of markets. It sounds like an absolute nightmare to pull off.
It is. And that massive barrier, that logistical and diplomatic wall, that's precisely what makes the asset defensible.
Because no one else can do it.
Exactly. The second you create something that is extremely difficult and expensive to replicate, like moving the world's biggest sporting symbol around with presidential level security, you've built lasting value.
So the whole strategic shift is from presence to experience.
That's it. The brand isn't just attached to the World Cup. The brand becomes the reason the World Cup comes to your town. That's a much, much more powerful relationship.
That makes perfect sense. So the trophy tour shows how you can mobilize a symbol. But what about reinventing something that already exists, but its potential was completely overlooked? That brings us to maybe one of the smartest asset reinventions I've ever seen. The NFL draft.
A textbook example. They took an administrative process, which, let's be honest, used to be held in a closed conference room.
Right, with a guy on a podium reading names off a card.
Exactly. And they turned it into a cultural and commercial powerhouse. They saw an opportunity where everyone else just saw paperwork.
The transformation is just phenomenal. What was this quiet internal process is now a multi-day primetime destination event. The media treats it like a Super Bowl. There's a red carpet.
And that change was strategic, not just cosmetic. By taking the draft on the road, cities now have to bid to host it. It generates huge economic impact. But think about the commercial appeal.
The audience is massive.
Massive.
Yeah.
And there isn't a single snap of football being played. It's all anticipation. It's not action.
The narrative shift is what's so brilliant. It's not about competition. It's about emotion, aspiration, potential. It's about hope. It's seeing a kid's life change when his name is called.
And that narrative is safe.
Yeah.
It avoids all the risk of a regular game. So sponsors get huge reach, but they also get a younger, digitally savvy audience that's completely invested in the league's future. It's pure optimism.
So the core lesson here is content doesn't need live competition to create value.
No.
It just needs meaning. If you can inject meaning into an administrative moment, you've created a billion-dollar asset.
It proves you don't always have to build from scratch. Sometimes the value is hidden in plain sight, in something functional. The draft was always happening. It just needed a spotlight.
Speaking of hidden value, or I guess cultural equity, the perfect transition have to be how baseball leveraged pure nostalgia. Let's talk about the MLB Field of Dreams game.
Yes. Few things have tapped into intellectual property and nostalgia so effectively. They created this premium limited edition event.
By staging a real regular season game in a purpose-built park right next to the movie set in an Iowa cornfield.
It taps directly into a shared cultural memory. It stopped being just a game. It became a revival of a cinematic moment for millions of people.
And what's so brilliant is the value for broadcasters and sponsors. It's all about the contrast. It's the complete opposite of a modern high-tech stadium.
The visuals are unique, the story is instantly emotional because we all know the movie, and brands are framed inside that cinematic narrative. They're not fighting for attention, they're part of this story about going back in time.
And the scarcity. You have to talk about the scarcity.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. We need to underline this. It is not a weekly product. The fact that it's a single annual event just exponentially increases demand and protects its premium feel.
I have to jump in here. As someone who grew up with that movie, there is this immediate gut-level emotional reaction when you see the players walk out of the corn. If they played 10 games a year there, that magic, that emotional capital would just, poof, it'd be gone. Is the whole strategy built on that scarcity?
It absolutely is. Dilution is the death of a premium asset. By keeping it scarce, MLB makes sure every broadcast, every news story treats it like a unique event. And that drives premium pricing for sponsors who want to be tied to that specific emotional story.
Okay, so let's pivot from leveraging existing IP and physical places to, well, the most influential modern example of creating an asset that required zero change to the competition itself. We have to talk about Formula One and Netflix's drive to survive.
This is the purest case study of asset creation through storytelling, period. F1 didn't change the cars, the rules, the races, not fundamentally. They changed the context around the races.
And in doing that, they unlocked their entire commercial future.
The whole mechanism was just humanizing the sport. F1 was seen as this very technical, very niche thing. Drive to Survive just pulled back the curtain. It humanized the drivers, the team principals, the rivalries.
It turned the action on the track into a character-driven drama.
And made it instantly accessible. You didn't need to understand aerodynamics anymore. You just needed to care about the rivalry between two drivers or this team principal, Gunther Steiner, who became a huge star just from his sound bites.
It focused on the drama in the middle of the pack, the stories that were totally invisible before.
And the commercial impact. It's just undeniable. The audience growth, especially in the U.S. market, which was always cold to F1, it unlocked billions in new sponsor deals, jacked up media rights, and brought in a much younger fan base.
It's genius. Brands got a pop culture reference point. When people are quoting team principles in meetings or making memes, you know you've transcended sport. You're part of the culture now.
That's infinitely more valuable than just traditional sports programming.
So the powerful lesson from Drive to Survive is that sometimes the most valuable asset isn't what happens on the track, but how the story is told off it. It's about creating emotional attachment to the people.
It is. Now, while that show is all about complexity, our final example is about brilliant simplicity. It's the Australian Open's one-point slam.
This one is so interesting because it solves a really specific commercial problem. How do you extend the sales and engagement window of a huge event without watering down the main product, the Grand Slam itself?
Their answer was the one-point slam, an exhibition held 4 days before the main tournament even starts. The genius is all in the format. High stakes, incredibly low time commitment.
Okay, break down that simplicity for us. What is it exactly?
It's exactly what it sounds like. 1 point, 1 rally, 1 decisive moment for a huge prize of 1 million Australian dollars. And they had amateurs on court with pros like Carlos Alcaraz and Coco Gauff. It's pure instant drama.
Over in 30 seconds.
Right, and the strategic win is even bigger than the entertainment. By creating this, they activated the venue earlier, extending the entire commercial and media window of the tournament.
Which is critical for revenue. It creates a new story, new content for social media, new sponsor activations, and crucially, it's new premium inventory, new hospitality, new media rights.
Without diluting the Grand Slam itself, it didn't mess with the sacred asset. It just built this high-energy, easy-to-digest experience right next to it.
So it seems like that's the line you can't cross. You have to create adjacent value, not substitute the core product.
Exactly. If they had tried to do this during the Grand Slam, it would have been confusing. It might have damaged the integrity of the main event. By putting it before, it's a fun curtain raiser that builds anticipation.
Okay, so if we pull back now, we've looked at 5 completely different strategies: a global tour, an administrative reinvention, cinematic IP, pop culture drama, a simple exhibition. What's the common thread? Why do these all win?
When you connect the dots, they all share, I think, 4 fundamental traits, even though they look so different. First, and this is the most important, they respect the fan first. They create something genuinely interesting, not just something the business needs.
And they're all super easy to explain. That's so important now. A trophy tour, a celebrity draft, a game in a cornfield, a documentary about rivalries, a 1-point game for $1 million. The simplicity makes them easy to amplify.
They're also really hard to replicate, whether it's the insane logistics of the FIFA trophy, the unique cultural timing of Field of Dreams, or the access F1 gave Netflix. They all built defensible assets. And defensibility drives premium pricing.
And finally, they all give sponsors a real reason to participate beyond just visibility. They're getting engagement, emotional meaning, a pop culture hook, B2B access. It's moving from presence to shared purpose.
And that really reinforces the main insight for you, the listener. In a world of finite attention, growth won't come from asking fans to tolerate more noise. It will only come from giving them something new to care about.
Something that adds real value.
This kind of revenue, the kind from genuine asset creation, it's the hardest to build. But it is, without a doubt, the most valuable when you get it right.
It's the difference between asset management and asset creation.
Indeed. And if scarcity, authenticity, and emotional meaning are the keys here, it raises a big question for you to think about. Where in your own world, your industry, your business, is valuable content being dismissed as just an administrative process waiting to be humanized, put on a stage, and totally reinvented?
That is some profound food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into what it takes to stop chasing noise and start creating real value. We'll see you next time.